Hello and welcome back, everyone, to the Eternal Tournament Series Season 6 Invitational Day 2. I am, of course, your host, Bairdrus, and once again joined by my wonderful co-host, LocoPojo.
Hey guys, we've got a matchup against Xenon Ramp today, which is a deck that I haven't seen in a little bit of a while. It's been a pretty good time to see. It's a Champion of Mystery deck with Mystic Ascendants and Carnosaurs at the top. Basically, there's a full 12 6-drops, and beyond that, we're trying to sort of get those cards out with cards like Power Stone and Secret Pages to make sure that you can just reliably play those cards as often as possible.
Yep, and on the other side, of course, we got Defter on that TJP mid-range deck, the Comrie Party, as it's being called now, that we just saw the mirror of. And he is off to a blazing fast start here. He's going to have this Awakened Student and the Amber Acolyte cracking in, double Obelisk in hand as well. So, looking to get in quick, and he is certainly well on his way, though. Bruised by God is up to 4 power now, going to be looking at 5 the next turn.
Yeah, it's going to be a tricky situation. I think that the Combre party list here is mostly favored just because the Xenon ramp deck takes so long to set up. Like, we've seen this deck already establish a really strong beat early on with the Kothans, with the Awakened Students, and with the Xenon Obelisks. So Bruce by God is going to be playing out his cards and basically slowly dealing with things, but he actually missed a power drop here, which is pretty crucial.
Oh, yeah, and if you see Defter's hand right now, I mean, this sequencing is going to be great. He's going to be able to go Awaken Student, Seek Power, play a Sigil, and then drop Kothon, and going to have this big board with an Obelisk or a Crystallize to follow next turn. I think this one is going to go to Defter very quickly.
Yeah, it's a real rough situation, and Bruce by God does not have like great answers even in the sideboard to this kind of like widespread swipe. Like, he can't really stray into Shadow or anything like that. He can run more Xenon Initiations or Annihilates and try to stabilize a little bit more in the early game, but most of his sideboard's more focused on dealing not with hybrid threats in the early game and dealing with like the later stuff as well.
Definitely, and
Ion.
ooh, Ion coming out, and this is going to get punished very hard by this stand together.
Yeah,
Not
that's
only
probably game.
Yeah, not only is this going to give all the units Aegis, but this is going to take care of both units, leaving Bruised by God at 6 and the Crystallize to follow. Can't see a way he's getting out of this one.
He does not have an out at this point. He could play Sandstorm Titan, but he'd still be vulnerable to lethal. If he had like full, then he could get rid of only one unit, so that doesn't really work out. Yeah, there's nothing really there that could have helped him.
Yeah, and basically, I mean, that's a pretty good showcase of why you just said that Defter is going to be favored in the matchup. I mean, the TJP midrange deck, if it can get on the ground running, as we just saw with the Awakened Students and various cards like that, as well as cards like Sandstorm Titan, he's just going to be pushing in for huge damage. And as you alluded to, the Xenon ramp deck takes just a little bit too long to get offline, and it can often have these clunky draws since you're mostly playing for these like large, like 4 and 6 power units.
Yeah, it's not looking amazing, but if Bruce by God can get the lifesteal off of Ion at the right times, like, that can be very helpful against sort of more aggressive decks. The main problem here is that, like, oftentimes he's not scaling as well. Like, the aggression here is a little bit bigger than your standard Rakano or Skycrag aggression. It's got a bit more health going on, so it's pretty likely that Ion's not going to get good trades out, and that's really crucial for basically establishing that early game. If you don't have the early game, then Bruised by God is basically just like really relying on his late game to spiral him to victory. Predatory Carnosaur is his main card to win most rounds.
Yeah, I mean, Predatory Carnosaur will be one of the big swing cards of the matchup. And Mystic Ascendant can grind the game out, and Champion of Mystery is another one of those cards that can help him grind the game out, but it's going to be all about him setting up for that. And, the Ion, like you said, is going to be very important. Having Banish at the right time, Death Strike, and just not having any of this removal really answered. Sabotages can also be important since there are 2 in the main deck. Like, it will be nice for him to be able to pull out things like an Obelisk or other cards such as Crystallizes that might otherwise shut him down.
But all 3 of the game changers, Obelisk Party and Crystallize, are in the deck and basically ready to get picked out. But at the same time, like, he's not very well matched up against a lot of the early aggression that's being presented here.
Yeah, the early aggression is really where we're going to see the game being swung back and forth, I have to imagine. If Bruce by God's going to get out of this game, not only is it going to be due to a combination of him having those his various removals and the sabotages when he needs them, it's also really going to come down to Defter having a slower start. Like when Defter gets off to a slow start, he doesn't have the Awakened student turn 2. Maybe like a Sandstorm Titan on turn 4 is like the first card he sets up with. That really opens the door for Bruce by God, since he is playing this ramp deck, to get ahead and start knocking Defter down and taking care of his threats early. But as long as those Awakened students are coming down on turn 2, and definitely if they're coming down on turn 2 on the play, it's going to be very rough for Bruce by God.
Yep, it's a really tricky situation. There's just not enough stuff really to answer the deck that you're looking for. I do really like the Xenon Ramp deck. I think this is a very strong deck if you can get the necessary threats out early. And basically, it's actually kind of going to be down to Defter to miss a step. Like if we see something go wrong with the curve, or we don't see a really aggressive play, I think that Bruce by God has like a really, really good late game.
Yeah, I do as well, and I think that late game can definitely carry him out of the situation. It's just a matter of him getting there unscathed, which obviously is going to be the difficult part in this matchup. So, just taking a short break, folks. Here we are. Players are now queued up, and let's take a look at what
there was no accidental sideboarding. Someone just had a mild reboot issue. So
Yep,
we're
and
now back in game. Defter is currently playing out a Kothan, or actually on third power at this point, and I am the Abductor answering the Kothan. That's exactly the kind of play that Bruce by God is looking for, except there is the stand together, and once again, that stand together is just a blowout.
yeah, that is really nasty out of Defter right there. Not only did he get the nice trade there, but now Kothan is going to be a little bit insulated, gonna make it a lot more likely that he's going to be able to ultimate that, and ultimately could very well carry him to the end of this game. I mean, Defter has the Desert Marshal here, so be able to silence off the Sandstorm Titan. If Defter can find one more power, he'll be able to activate that Kothan.
Yep, we see the Power Stone out of Bruce by God, so he's going to be up to 6 pretty quick, but he's still got like triple influence to get Carnosaurs out, and he just lost the Endurance on his Sandstorm Titan, which is fairly crucial because Crystallize is such a powerful card here. Defter can continue to play out cards here, uses stand togethers to boost his units up a little bit, or he can crystallize, or he can just play some Seraphs, and yeah, like all of them seem like reasonable options. I think I like the Seraph route here, trying to build the board a little bit more for stand together.
Yeah, I like Seraph here as well. Assuming Bruised by God, we don't see any pauses. He doesn't have any removal held up. It's also possible that Defter will be able to offer a series of double and triple blocks on the Sandstorm Titan to take care of it if he needs to. Do see Death Strike coming in here, but that will eat up Bruised by God's whole turn.
Yeah, at least it hit something. Defter did not have the 6th power, so he wasn't able to play Seraph and hold stand together up. But he's still got the stand together, and that's just really backbreaking. This is a lot of problems in a very short period of time. And considering there's only, I think, togethers in Defter's deck, this is just really, really rough.
Yeah, this is very rough here. And really, if Defter can find another power, I think that might just swing the matchup in his favor completely. If it's undepleted, he'll be able to drop a Seraph and then stand together in the same turn, essentially, making very threatening blockers and attackers. And he'll have the Crystallize on the follow-up to be able to swing through for very likely lethal.
Yep, we see a Banish. That's going to hit the 2nd Seraph. There's going to be a 3rd Seraph, so Defter is actually continuing to push damage, and that's really helping out. With the Obelisk, Defter can be, or sorry, Bruised by God is really pushing damage. With the Obelisk, Defter can be a bit more forward and a bit more aggressive, but look at the crackback. It's another 5 damage here that has to be blocked, and that puts Defter down to...
It's written right here.
Yeah, this is going to bring him down, though. I guess Defter's just trying to set him up for the 2-turn Crystallize lethal, so I think he's willing to take this here. This is going to come down a lot to what Bruised by God's holding that 4 power for. Hopefully another Death Strike or a Banish here. Defter picks up Homebrew Banner as well, so this does give him the option of doing something like Seraph into Stand Together, but I think Crystallize is definitely going to be the line here for him.
Yeah, he might go for the Seraph stand together play. It does get him a very commanding board that's going to be pretty good on just offense. But if he's still pushing offense at 4 health, he might be in a bit of trouble. So it's hard to say which is correct. Certainly, if he can get the whole board with stand together and then crystallize, he's going to be in very, very good shape. But at the same time, that's holding off on a card that kills most of Bruce by God's board and puts him in just an incredibly good position here. Whoa, all in attack, actually.
Yeah, going all in here, and I don't hate this either. He's going to be able to force the damage, and with the banner, he'll be able to make a series of blocks on the Sandstorm Titan, no matter what the removal is.
Yeah, but what I don't like about this is that he did not play his Combray banner. Like he attacked without together offensively, and that means that like cards like Iron can have a little bit higher effect. Like he's actually going to lose Kothan here. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, I do agree though. Not playing the banner there was kind of a mistake. I'm not sure if he was just kind of looking to hold it back essentially, but oh, this is going to be bad too. This Predatory Carnosaur coming in is going to clean the game up. Yeah, wow. So big mistake here. It looks like by Defter.
It cost him the game, that Combray banner. If he had been able to stand together in response and keep the Kothan alive, then he would have had an endurance unit and a unit back as a blocker, and he wouldn't have died to Carnosaur. So yeah, pretty rough round. We will see if Defter can try and take some of that back.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna have to bounce back here after that. That's got to be pretty crushing to have happen. I mean, you look at it and it looked as if the game was completely swung into his favor as long as he sequenced that correctly. But by not being able to play that stand together in the correct amount of time, I mean, if you think about the board, most of that damage would have still gotten pushed through, would have been kept the Ion alive, or not the Ion, but the Kothan alive, taking down all the units on the board, pushed through basically lethal, and even with the Carnosaur coming down next turn, Crystallize would have been the finisher. So yeah, that is rough there for him. Let's take a look at our players' sideboards. We got Bruised by God on that Xenon ramp. He's got 2 Sabotages in there. Very likely we're going to see those come in. 4 Annihilates, 4 Xenon Initiations, 4 Stewards of the Past, and Azendul's Gift. So a lot of high impact cards for him here in this matchup.
Yeah, his versus TJP party does not have the Azendul's Gift in there. He's still running Champ of Mystery, plenty of other stuff. So like we'll see what he's going to be running, but it doesn't look like he is running. Oh wait, no, he might actually have been looking at his original list. I was checking out his stream to see exactly, or checking out the. I think he might have been looking at his original list. Azendul's Gift would be a pretty powerful card against Scouting Party. It's hard to say if you run it here or if you try to just pressure out. But yeah, it can be very high impact.
Yeah, it can definitely be high impact. I mean, we're going to see a lot of these cards coming in. I definitely think Bruised by God has a good sideboard for this matchup. Xenon Initiation and Steward of the Past going to be excellent cards for holding off all this early aggression. Annihilate's a little bit interesting here. I doubt it'll be coming in because there aren't that many good threats. It's really only Sandstorm Titan, and you already have cards take care of it, such as Death Strike and Banish. So on the other side of the table, though, actually we do see players getting into game, but while we jump into Spectate, I do at least want to take a look at the list really quick out of Defter. Let's see, he had Finest Hour, Permafrost, Protect, Backlash, Hammer Crystallize, and Reality Warden. So a few of those very likely to make their way in. Cards like Permafrost, quite useful. Protect, obviously, Immortalize from a lot of the people. So.
Yep. We see an Amber Acolyte there. We have Xenon Obelisk for Defter, which means he's going to be pushing quite a bit of damage. Bruce by God not throwing out a lot of ramp. His hand contains a Vara's Favor and 2 Champion of Mysteries, so he's going to be able to at least keep Kothan slightly down. Like, there's no Amber Acolyte with an Obelisk here, so it's not an amazing amount of attack by Defter, but Defter's still pressuring in, and Bruce by God does not have answers for a little while.
Yep. Defter can be able to push some damage in here. He has the backlash for here for any removal that's going to get dropped here. Really got to be looking out for Ions. I mean, that's going to be the card that's going to be able to take care of either the Kothan or the Seraph, although Seraph is a 4/5 now. See if he can come up with anything. Not finding it, though, so a lot more of this early damage is going to be pushed through.
Yeah, we see Seraph has a 4-5 with Overwhelm, of course. Bruised by God now has access to Ion, but that's not going to help him against any of these cards. It doesn't work against Seraph. Kothan is now flying, and there's an Owl on board, which means that basically Bruised by God is in really, really bad shape. He's got Champion of Mysteries and Mystic Ascendants here, neither of which are going to really help him in the future. They both defend against Seraph, but they don't really help against the Flyers, so it's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, we see Champion of Mystery coming down, and on the Bruised by God 6-drop table, that was the one he wasn't looking for. Would have much rather seen either Mystic Ascendant draw into some more answers or threats himself, or seen a Carnosaur here. Go ahead and clean up some of this board.
Because the Seraph doesn't want to really attack in anyways. If you're attacking with the Flyers, you don't really want to trigger Ion's lifesteal, because basically that just means that your clock might get a little bit slower. Bruised by God is actually going to have to suicide attack with Ion to get any sort of value here, and unless there's a really, really good pull off of Mystic Ascendant, there's not much reason for anything to happen here that's going to stop Defter.
Yeah, I don't think anything is changing the game here. So Defter able to do what his deck is looking to do, establish that early pressure, and just take it to the finish line. So Defter taking down game 3 very quickly after that sideboard. Now up 2-1 in the series, as we will be getting into game 4 shortly. And I mean, you know, as we've discussed time and again, Pojo, in this matchup, really it just comes down to establishing those early threats and them going unchecked. I mean, Kothan and Seraph there just take him all the way to the end.
Yeah, Bruised by God's path to victory was not his hand. He really wants to play down early Sandstorm Titans and play down Predatory Carnosaurs as often as possible. If he can manage those two things, then he can usually keep track of the threats and actually like defend himself against the Crystallizes and the more aggressive like stuff that's happening out of Defter's deck. But Defter has good answers to Sandstorm Titan and Vanquish and Island's Choice. Like, he's doing most of the right things to keep his aggression strong, and Bruised by God still just doesn't have like early game even in his sideboard, so he's going to have a tricky time here.
Certainly. And now that we have an extra second, let's go over that Defter sideboard just one more time. We can actually talk about it a little bit more. So Defter has the single finest hour in the list. He's got 4 Permafrost, 2 copies of Protect, 2 Backlashes, 3 Orc Runehammers, a Crystallize, and a pair of Reality Wardens, actually. So the first things that stand out to me, obviously, we saw in that matchup are those Backlashes. Those are going to be absolutely huge for securing that early game.
Yep, they defend your threats very well. I think they're probably one of the more important cards for Defter. He does have Protect as well, so like he has lots of ways to keep his stuff down on the board and continue to pressure out. He can also use the Permafrost to generate some early advantage and prevent the Champion of Mysteries from coming across. They're not great against Carnosaurs or Mystic Ascendants because they don't trade like particularly well, but it is something to consider against the larger units too.
Absolutely, and we are getting into our 4th game now. Again, Defter up 2-1 in this series and has a pretty solid hand here. He's got the Kothan and the Seraph once again. He did bring in some copies of Permafrost, which are going to be quite solid for him, although there aren't a ton of units that he's really looking to interact with early, I have to admit. Not going to hit Sandstorm Titan. Will hit Ion, but Ion most of the time is going to be that ambush surprise.
Yep, like we see Xenon Banner Vara's favor on Bruised by God's side. He's gonna throw that back, I'm guessing. It just doesn't look right for the overall like early plan. We do see Temple Scribe as Xenon Initiation here. Temple Scribe's a pretty good card for Bruised by God since it kind of allows him to defend himself against Amber Acolytes, and also can be used to pick up some units with Xenon Initiation, although not many on Defter's side have 2 health or less.
Yeah, and seeing the plan coming down early for Defter, though, Bruised by God did ramp himself up a little bit, although, Stand Together, solid card here, though.
Yeah, that early ramp is really, really solid, especially since he's got the 3-time influence. He can hit Predatory Carnosaur without a lot of issues, and that means Carnosaur can eat up that Kothan and potentially like prevent a lot of bad things from happening to him. He plays the Waystone Infuser here. That's a great defensive unit that also allows him to continue to pressure with power and draw like basically just better threats. But the Permafrost on it means it's not as good in a defensive capacity. It is going to keep him from drawing like too many power off the top of his deck, but it's not going to help him in terms of keeping alive.
So interesting interaction here, Pojo, that I'm sure you would be familiar with. Is Killer considered attacking as far as Island's Choice is considered?
Yes, it is a special attack, but it is still an attack. Island's Choice can kill the Carnosaur, and that will save the Seraph.
And yeah, we do see it come down right there, saving the Seraph. And now Defter with a lot of choices here. He can go into the Xenon Obelisk. I like going Seek Power into the Xenon Obelisk. He could also play it a little bit safer and go Seek Power into Stand Together. Either way, Kothon very likely to go off next turn, assuming this Banish doesn't hit it.
Yeah, fun fact, that Killer interaction also triggers all on-attack triggers, including things like Tap Rod. So get your instincts out. But yeah, like we have Xenon Obelisk and Stand Together. Like Defter's looking really, really strong here, but Bruised by God is up to 6, so he can start playing out some really big threats. Without a way to push the final bit of damage and no removal left, Defter might start falling behind.
Yeah, and it's quite likely he will here. Although, yeah, I see Bruised by God getting out of this one. It's going to be difficult here. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess he can drop the Champion of Mystery and the Waystone Infuser. I mean, they both will hold the board, but once this Kothon goes ultimate, I mean, so much damage is going to be coming in the air, and another Kothon picked up. Bruised by God's really going to need a way to interact with all this air. I mean, he has the Banish, but that's only going to take care of one of them, and with the second Kothon coming down, the Xenon Initiation as well as Banish are only going to get so far.
Yeah, and not playing the Mystic here, or not playing the Champion of Mystery early here, could have hurt him a little bit. He does end up with enough, at least. Like, he's going to be able to basically play Mystery, play Xenon Initiation, kill a big dude if he wants to, but he can't do it this turn, so he's going to be taking 3 damage from the first Kothon.
Yeah, the first one will be coming in, and Defter, in the meantime, will be able to establish that Xenon Obelisk to make it 1 more damage, as well as play the next Kothon. And
yeah,
interesting. Getting in with the Seraph here, I guess he's trying to... actually sure what he's trying to do there. Maybe he's trying to, like, threaten something cute, but...
yeah, threatening something scary, just being aggressive. I don't think he cares about crackback. If he could force his opponent to attack in, then that's a big mistake from his opponent. So anything that like leaves the Seraph open is probably fine. It's giving your opponent more choices, but it's also giving him like more rope to hang himself with.
Yeah, essentially. And we are going to see the Initiation come out here. And we're going to see which choice he's going to take care of. I mean, I think I don't know. This is really difficult here. Like, not sure. I think you do have to take care of the smaller one, yeah, since you're scared of the activation and then having the immediate lethal. I mean, that being said, though, how do you ever get rid of this 4/5 Aegis Kothon now?
Yeah, his answer is another Xenon Initiation or a Carnosaur. If you can pick either one of those up, then he's going to be okay. But that's a pretty tough sell, and I don't know that he's going to pick it up.
Yeah, we'll see what the top deck here was for Bruised by God. He hasn't conceded yet, so it's a possibility. Looks like he just wants to make that champion unblockable, though it will draw him a card. So
it draws him a card, so he gives one last chance at an out. He drew Avara's Favor, which allows him to pop the Aegis. If he picks up one more removal card, or he picks up a Carnosaur, he's actually got several outs. I'm not sure what he's picked up yet, but looks like it was a Power Stone, so that will be game.
Yep, that will take care of it. He's not going to be able to do anything, unfortunately. He's just looking desperately at his hand, looking for an answer. He will be able to gain that 1 life, but it's not going to be enough here. And Bruised by God is going to fall down in the series 3-1 in Defter's favor with TJP midrange or 3-party deck.
Yeah, a very solid deck by Bruised by God, but that was not its matchup, and there just wasn't enough good in the sideboard to help him out. So we are going to be seeing Defter moving on, and yeah, good luck to him.
Yeah, and Bruised by God will fall to the losers bracket, where, very unfortunately for him, he's going to be playing a very, very similar matchup. I don't think Defter's deck is quite the same as Visari's and Moosh. In fact, I'm pretty sure they have less copies of Stand Together, so maybe it will go a little bit better for him down there.
Yeah, the Stand Togethers and the Islands choices are just really critical cards. They both like really answer the big ways that Defter can or that Bruce by God can deal with those big units. Like the Island Stress on the Carnosaur was backbreaking.
Yeah, it really was, though. And we'll see if he can take care of Moosh down there in the losers bracket. In the meantime, though, we are going to be taking a short break before we get on to our next matchup, which is going to be Lights Out Ace on Xenon Interrogator versus Thundershot on Xenon Midrange. May sound like a mirror match, but it's not as close as you think. It's going to be slight differences here, so we're going to be getting into that shortly, but we're going to take a short break for the moment, so stay tuned. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back.
See you in a bit.